Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we deep dive into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick based upon my big board, where they went positionally, who's left on the board. Is it a team need? Is it a scheme fit? We have path to starting and path for immediate roles, if that is available for those guys in my opinion. So, if you want to learn more about the class of the Cowboys here, or any of the other 31 classes, make sure you stick around as we get through all 32 classes. Make sure you dive through the channel. Make sure you haven't missed your favorite team's class. So, thank you guys for all the support on these so far. Let's hop into the Cowboys class here, giving them a B+ grade, my 17th overall class, a 3.21 for them. This grade coming from an equation that I made for you guys so you guys could have a more concrete feel about how I feel about every single class in this 2025 year. That way you guys can stack up classes with similar letter grades, see how closely graded I have these. Just a little fun extra exercise that we can come back later to, see how I have them ranked, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, see what I can learn from. More about the grades and the analysis, but just an extra little fun thing for you guys. A 3.21, a B+. Now, let's dive into the class here. First, they go Tyler Booker, a guard out of Alabama with their 12th pick. Their next pick, they go Donovan Ezaraku, an edge out of Boston College. Savone Rebel Jr., a cornerback out of ECU. Jaden Blue, a running back out of Texas. Shamar James, a linebacker out of Florida. Ajani Cornelius, a tackle out of Oregon. Jay Toa, an IDL out of UCLA. Phil Maffa, a running back out of Clemson, and Tommy, a Kings Biasetti. I really hope I'm not butchering that super bad. Probably am. My apologies. A IDL out of Maryland. Like I said, a B+, very, very solid class. One of my favorite day one classes and day two classes, I should say. Kind of the early rounds in this draft, but didn't necessarily agree with their D3 picks, so we'll get into those as we get through the class here. But let's start off with Tyler Booker, a guard out of Alabama, taken with the 12th pick. No trade compensation. They just sat and picked here. Was my 53rd ranked guard on the board, or ranked player on the board. My third guard, the first one taken off the board. Now, if you told me that he was going to a scheme like this, as I've talked about in previous videos talking about Tyler Booker, if you told me he's going to more of a gap style or a style that's going to really suit his strengths, he is a late first or a second round type player to me. This is his ranking as an overall guard. He lacks a lot in the zone game, gets ran around a lot. People get around him a lot on pulls, stuff like that, but put this guy in a phone box, get this guy on down blocks, on base blocks, even in pass pro, this guy is rock solid. Really, really enjoyed his tape. Just needs to go to a place that suits him well. The Cowboys suit him well. I really wanted them to go guard, edge, or running back in this class, hit those early and often. Also, hit cornerback earlier than often. Just edge, running back, interior guard were kind of my top needs. They fill that super well with Tyler Booker here. Zach Martin leaves. This is an excellent, excellent, excellent replacement for him. He's going to slide in immediately, be a starting guard. Just keep making this offensive line a very, very tight-knit unit, a very solid unit. Hopefully they can keep getting their tackles to progress, but man, Tyler Smith and Tyler Booker is your two interiors. Insane. Like I said, they need some more development out of Tyler Booker. Getting all the Tylers mixed up. Sorry, we're 5 videos in. We're recording 5 videos today. Mine's going dumb. Ton of Tylers on that team. Tyler Guyton needs a little bit more development, but that should be a very, very good offensive line full of Tylers for the future. An A- for me just because of the value, but again, gonna make this team super, super, super good moving forward. Fits in immediately. Good scheme fit. A 6'5", 321-pound guard, 21, gonna be 21 throughout the season. 3.68 RAS, like I said, does not move well. If you get him outside that phone booth, he's going to have some trouble. People move around him easily. But keep him where his strengths are. This is a super, super, super good guard prospect. 397 pass block snaps. He allowed 0 sacks, only 2 hits, 7 hurries. Was a 2024 second team All-American, and a first team SEC selection. A 2-year starter for Alabama. It's very good in his 2 years, man. Very fun tape to watch. A little bit frustrating at times, but when it's fun, it's really fun. This is a fun guard. Their next pick, they go Donovan Ezaraku, an edge out of Boston College with the 44th pick, the 12th pick of the second round. I absolutely was enamored. Floored that he fell this far. Enamored with the pick for them, an A+. He was 27 on my big board, the 4th edge on my board. He was taken as the 6th edge. So positionally, in terms of true value, absolutely smashed it out of the park in my opinion. I wanted them to get edge depth, maybe a little bit of a bigger edge to help replace DeMarcus Walker. I know they have Marshawn Nealon, who they took there recently. Still would like them to get a bigger body, but Donovan Ezaraku, although he is 6'2", 248, he is stout and has long arms. I think he is better against the run than people really give him credit for. I like him a lot in both phases. A super technical pass rusher, not an outworldly athlete. Still had an 8.14 RAS, which you'd really like to see. But man, super, super, super fun player. Had 16.5 sacks, 15 hurries, 20.5 TFLs, 80 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, and a PBU on the season. Ultra productive at Boston College. Was a 2024 first team All-American, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and won the Ted Hendricks Award for the linebacker / edge rusher of the year. A 3-year starter for Boston College. Absolutely love this pick for them. Like I said, A+, great value. They needed edge. Don't know how he fell this far. I think he's going to be super good for the Cowboys, man. Really good player. Their next pick, they go Savone Ravel, a cornerback out of ECU, with the 76th pick, the 12th pick of the 3rd round. Again, no trade compensation. Another A+ pick for me. Falls probably mostly due to the fact that he had a season-ending injury only 3 games into his season. Also, coming out of ECU, not the highest level of competition, might scare teams away. Now, the Cowboys doctor, their team doctor, did the surgery or kind of did all the work on Savone Ravel's knee, so they feel comfortable taking him at this spot. I absolutely love it. In a class where a lot of cornerbacks fell, Will Johnson to 47, Darian Porter to 64. I just didn't get it. Even Trey Amos falling down a lot. These are really good corners in my opinion. Savone Ravel, my 31st player on the board. Absolutely electric all-world athlete, a 6'2", 194 corner, so he's full-sized. If this guy would have tested, he would have flown and jumped out of the park, man. I'm telling you. An all-world motor, too. This guy flies all over the field, just always finds himself near the football. In only 3 games, had 2 interceptions, 2 PBUs, only a 48.8 passer rating allowed, 8 tackles. If this guy was allowed a full season, he's barking up the tree of a first-round pick, I'm telling you. The fact they got him at this spot, absolutely insane value in my opinion. Another A+ pick for me, a 2023 second-team AAC in his first year starting in 2023. Was a transfer from Lewisburg College in 2022, so an immediate step up to bigger competition, and he showed he can handle it right away. Again, probably because of the injury and the school, he falls to this spot. Absolutely insane for the Cowboys to get him here. He's probably going to be a insane starter for the future of them. I don't know what their future is with Deron Bland and Trevon Diggs, what their plan is for keeping those guys super long term. Savone Ravel is going to get snaps soon, and when he's healthy, this guy's going to be a demon. Just hopefully he can stay healthy. Has all the upside in the world. Absolutely love this pick. Like I said, an A+. Their next pick, they go Jaden Blue, a running back out of Texas with the 149th pick, the 12th pick of the 5th round. I like it. I think this was around Jaden Blue's range, kind of the very late 4th, kind of the early to mid 5th maybe. Again, I like the value. I think this was about his range. I wanted them to get a running back. And I love it. I really wanted them to get a true running back, and there was still a lot of really good 3-down backs on the board. In terms of getting a receiving back, not a ton of receiving backs left that I like a lot more than Jaden Blue. There was some better value ones like Brashard Smith or LaQuint Allen in the 7th. But if you're trying to take a receiving back right here, I don't hate taking Jaden Blue. Just there were some better 3-down backs And with Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams on one-year deals, you really need someone more long-term in that room. I don't think they trust Deuce Vaughn as their long-term starter. Again, I like Jaden Blue. Just wish they went with a more three-down style back than a receiving back. He has the chops to be able to be a three-down back. He's got all the speed. He's got decent size at 5'9", 196. He's pretty stout. Had 5 fumbles on the season, though. 5 fumbles. I'm not trusting a guy year one that had 5 fumbles in college. I'm sorry. That is just an insane number. Needs to work on that. But a great athlete, 21, 5'9", 196, like we said. Had a 6.34 RAS. Got to be held down mostly by his measurables because this is a very good athlete and a burner. 430 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry. Had 42 receptions on 58 targets for 368 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. Very good receiving back. But again, 5 fumbles, man. 5 fumbles. Did this in his first year off of the reserves. You'll love to see that production in his first year being more of a true kind of type starter. Very nice player. Very fun player to watch. Like the value. I like the pick. Just wish they got more of a 3-down type guy. Next pick, they go Shamar James, a linebacker out of Florida, trading up with the Cardinals, setting over 174 and 211 for 152, the 16th pick of the 5th round. This got an IC the vision. I just didn't 100% necessarily understand it. I understand it gets an IC the vision because I get getting linebacker because of the injuries you've had in that room. Demarion Obershone coming off of injury. Damone Clark hasn't always been the healthiest guy. They just signed Jack Sanborn and they traded for Kenneth Murray. So those are already 2 dudes you got that are pretty secure in that room. Demarion Obershone, even though he's coming off of injury, I expect him to get a lot of playing time. And then, like I said, Damone Clark, there's just a lot of guys above him in this room. The path to starting is very, very, very murky for him. I don't know how fast he's going to get, a ton of snaps. Also not a very high upside guy. 6'1", 222, a little bit undersized. Not the best athlete either. So, I don't really get drafting someone who's going to sit back this far if they're not more of a high kind of upside type guy. There were a lot of guys I think had higher upside or a better floor or a mixture of both. Small Munden, Jeffrey Bossa, Chris Paul, even Kobe King, Francisco Maligoa, I should say. I just don't 100% agree with the player at the spot, especially if they're going to be sitting behind that many linebackers and they aren't a super high upside guy. They traded up to get him, so obviously they like him. Again, it's an IC the vision pick, just didn't really like it or 100% understand it. 6'1", 222, going to be 21 in his rookie year, a 5.66 RAS. Like I said, not an all-world athlete, not the biggest linebacker. Had 64 tackles, 4 TFLs, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 3 PBUs, 2 sacks, and 13 missed tackles, so you don't like to see that many missed tackles on only 64 total tackles. Definitely not great, but nice production in other senses. An all-SEC freshman, just never really took that next step up. A 2-year starter for Florida, so he's got some starting experience. Again, just didn't really agree with it, depending on who's there. Getting a linebacker this early if they aren't really a high upside type linebacker, don't love it. Their next pick, they go Ajani Cornelius, a right tackle out of Oregon, with the 204th pick, the 28th pick of the 6th round. This was part of the Kaiir Elam trade with the Bills, sending over 170, a 2026 7th, to the Bills for Kaiir Elam and a 204. Now, this was another pick that I see the vision, of getting backup tackles in that room. I just didn't love the player for this pick. A 6'5", 310 pound lineman, going to be 23 throughout his rookie season. Didn't qualify for an RAS, but still a decent mover. I get it for the size, the upside according to that size and the length, but not a guy that I loved. On 526 pass block snaps, allowed 3 sacks, 4 hits, and 22 hurries. Josh Connerly was a rock on that other side. Ajani Cornelius, much more difficult to watch. I saw him as more of a type of a 7th I don't hate the value for him, but considering who's left on the board, I think there's some guys with much higher upside, like a Cameron Williams, like a Chase Lunt, like a Marcus Bryant. Again, I don't hate it. I see the vision, but in terms of getting a true backup tackle with high upside, I just don't think that this was necessarily the pick to go with. I can be proven wrong. I hope I am. Sometimes I talk about these guys negatively, but these are all just dudes trying to make a living playing a sport that we all love. You want them to succeed. I'm just giving my honest opinion on the picks and how I feel about the players going to these situations. A 2-year starter at Oregon, spent his 3 years prior at Rhode Island. So interesting step up in competition for sure. Again, and I see the vision. Just thought there were some higher upside guys behind him. Didn't really love the pick. Don't really love his floor either. The next pick, they go Jay Toa, an IDL out of UCLA. With the 217th pick, the 7th pick, or the first pick of the 7th round, getting this pick as part of the Joe Milton trade, sending over 171 to the Patriots for Joe Milton and 217, which I like for them. Getting a pick back for the Joe Milton trade. Joe Milton's a fun backup, flashed a little bit last season, so maybe he's got something there. I like this pick for them. A 6'2", 342-pound interior, going to be 22 during his rookie season. Didn't qualify for a RAS. They're not drafting him for athleticism. They're drafting him for beef up the middle. They have Osa Odigizua. They have Mozzie Smith there. They brought in Solomon Thomas, who doesn't really move the needle a ton for you. Don't really have a ton of guys outside of that. They really need interior D-line depth. Getting a guy who can just eat space at 6'2", 342 in the 7th round, I really like. Didn't have the greatest production with 1 sack, 3 hurries, 2 TFLs, 25 tackles, 1 PBU, but a 3-year starter for UCLA and a 2024 Big Ten honorable mention. So I like it for them. You waited this long to get interior line. I think he's going to slot in and immediately compete for a rotational spot, especially on early downs. I think that's very good value for them in the 7th. Their next pick, they go Phil Maffa, a running back out of Clemson, with the 239th pick, the 23rd pick of the 7th round. Getting this as part of the Kenneth Murray trade value, sending 188 over the Titans for Kenneth Murray and 239. So getting this as a pick back in the Kenneth Murray trade, I really like, because I think Kenneth Murray is worth, somewhere around that 188th pick. A 6'1", 234-pound running back, going to be 23 during the middle of the season. Not really an athlete. This was, I saw, and I see the vision type pick. I wanted them to get more of a 3-down guy. This is kind of more of a 3-down guy, but you waited this long to do it, and I don't really think he really upgrades any value of your room in terms of home run ability, in terms of, receiving ability, in terms of just being an early down back. I don't really think he kind of outcompetes anyone in that room. They have Javonte Williams, they have Miles Sanders, they still have Deuce Vaughn. You took Jaden Blue earlier. He's going to be competing for RB4. Might not make the roster. I think there was other picks you could have taken here that would have had a lot higher chance of making your roster. Don't really love it for them, especially because they took a running back earlier. I don't hate Phil Maffa, just for this team, it's an uphill battle for him to even make the roster, so I don't really love it. Had 1,115 yards last season, 8 touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry, 21 receptions on 29 targets, 103 yards, 2 fumbles. A 2024 third-team ACC in his first year as a starter, so you definitely like to see that. Again, I see the vision. Phil Maffa at this value I like. Just, it's a real uphill battle for him to make this roster, in my opinion. Tough for him, honestly. I think they could have went with other positions that would have helped them more right now, or at least would have had a better chance of making the roster. Their next pick, they go Tommy Akingza-Bisetti, an IDL out of Maryland, 247, the 31st pick of the 7th round. They got this from the Jonathan Mingo trade, trading for Jonathan Mingo during last season. I like this for them, honestly. I can't hate it. Even though they are doubling up in the 7th round, I still think he makes the roster. They don't have a ton of dudes as rostered at the D line spot in general. So I do think he still makes the roster. a different type of interior lineman, not their true nose type, more of a 3-tech type. So I like them trying to target a different type of lineman. Has some real length and some get off. So for the 7th round, can't hate it, especially considering the fact he was the second to last lineman taken off the board. Not a whole lot of other dudes left. So again, not a bad pick at all. Going to be 23 towards the end of the season. 6.55 RAS, not an all-world athlete, but has some get off, has some length. There's something to develop there. At the very back end of the 7th, I can't hate it, especially because I do think he makes the roster. Had 1 sack, 1 hurry, 5 TFLs, 32 tackles, and 1 forced fumble on the season. A first-year starter for Maryland, so very much a project, but still has some developmental traits to work with. I think he fits in this room. Don't hate it. This is the Cowboys class. Sorry if I rushed through this one a little bit more than my other ones. I'm trying to get all these done so you guys have daily uploads while I'm out of state. So, these don't take forever to get back to you guys. And, once I'm back, it should get back to 2-a-day uploads. Hopefully, we'll see. Again, sorry if this one was a little bit fast. Sorry if I'm mumbling sometimes or if I'm losing myself. My brain's getting fried. This is the 5th video recording of the day. Whole lot of football talk. My mouth's starting to just kind of lose itself. But thank you guys. I really appreciate it if you stuck around. Let me know what you guys think about my analysis. Anything you guys are seeing on your screen. Talk with me about the class, where I'm right, where I'm wrong. How you think about this class. I really like this class for them. I think they're going to get a ton of value out of their top 3 picks day 1. I think Jaden Value is going to be a nice little rotational type scat back for them. Don't love the Shamar James or the Ajani Cornelius pick. I think Jay Toa and Tommy find some rotational snaps in this kind of thinner interior D-line. Phil Maffa, going to be an uphill battle for him to make the roster, but a back I like, just a tough situation for him to go to. Tyler Booker, probably going to be a great guard in this system. Donovan Ezaraku, with his pass rush ability, with his natural leverage, with his size and arm length, this guy can be a top half edge rusher in the league to me. He can be a true number 1 for you if he hits his upside. Love that value. Savone Ravel, all the length, all the athleticism, shows ball skills, just coming from a smaller school and injured. But man, if this guy hits his upside, number 1 corner in this league, man. He has so much upside. Jaden Blue has RB1 upside, needs to work on the fumbles, needs to work on the consistency as a early down back, much more of a receiving type now. Shamar James, a little bit undersized, not too much of an athlete. I think he's more of a rotational style linebacker. A lot of bodies ahead of him in this room, so it's going to be tough for him to find kind of a starting spot. Ajani Cornelius, all the length and weight and upside, moves decently well, but very, very raw. Very, 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 very raw to me. So understand why he falls this late. I thought there were some dudes that have some higher upside than him left on the board. Jay Toa, just a straight meat clogger, like I said earlier. I think he gets some early down reps. And like we talked about with Phil Maffa, uphill battle for him. It's a little bit tough. But a very, very strong class overall. Still a B+, almost an A- for me. Really, really, really enjoyed this class overall, especially their day 1 and 2. One of, if not my favorite, day 1 and 2 of the entire class. They had needs, and man, they filled them with some insane value, in my opinion. If you liked it, again, let me know. I appreciate all you for watching this far. Listen to me ramble. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.